It was a fantastic day one for two tournaments competing against each other. Major League Fishing and the Bass Pro Tour and the Bassmaster Elites, both up in Michigan. But how did it go? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. If you're new, my name is Steve Chapman. Major League Fishing, the Bass Pro Tour, and the Bassmaster Elites are both holding tournaments up in Michigan at the exact same time, something that doesn't happen much. And while some of us had to decide which one to watch, some of us watched both as much as possible. And it was a pretty good day for both tournaments, to be quite honest. But what happened? Well, let's start off by talking about the Bass Pro Tour on Saginaw Bay, their final tournament of the year, stage 7. Now, the fishing was insane, and we'll get to the top 10 in a few seconds. But there were a lot of storylines that really meant something to the fans. Starting off with, this is Skeet Reese's last tournament. And they had a camera boat with him, and at one point in time he talked about how much he appreciated all the love and the support that he's gotten over the years. And Skeet is an icon in the industry. With over $4 million in career earnings, a bunch of wins, this is an emotional bass fishing tournament for him and his family. And I really hope that he does well, because as I do this video, I'm not even sure where he stands. But they had 20 anglers using forward-facing sonar in period 1. We knew that Wheeler was going for his 4th Angler of the Year out of 5 years, and Wheeler had an amazing first period. And you had Marshall Hughes in period 1 take off and lead without forward-facing sonar at all. And one of the things that I really appreciate about the BPT is just the extra footage and the extra production quality that goes into every tournament. Because they had drone footage during the day of different anglers. At one time they were with Edwin when he was just on fire, and we'll talk about Edwin in a few seconds. But they had drone footage of different anglers that didn't have a cameraman on their boat. And it's that extra little things that just boosts that production of the Bass Pro Tour. Now, getting back to Wheeler. Wheeler has been in 5 of the 6 events. He's made a top 10 this year. He's also, if you missed it, he caught one in the first period just as the period was ending. He was reeling in and burning in as fast as possible. And as he tried to boat flip it, which is probably would have hit the deck and probably would have got a penalty, it hit the side of the wall of his steering column, and it ricocheted off that area and bounced back in the water and broke his line. But it was really cool to see. And this is a positive for the Bass Pro Tour. As I have 2 screens, there's 2 of them right there. I have one screen that I had the Bass Pro Tour on. I had the other screen with the Elites on, so I could kind of keep track of both things. I wanted to watch the Elites because of certain things that we'll talk about here. But the one thing I noticed is that the amount of commercials from the BPT compared to the Bass is astronomical. Now, when they have a break, they put in plenty of commercials, but you got to see more fishing on the Bass Pro Tour than the Elites, and by leaps and bounds. That's hard to say. It's hard to come across, I think. If you want to watch a lot of bass fishing and how the anglers are doing or watching them fish, the BPT is your format. If you'd rather hear more commentary and extra things and fantasy fishing and have interviews and all that other stuff, I think the Elites is what you should be watching. But you have to also remember that when you're watching the Elites, you're watching a lot of people that are using forward-facing sonar. And it is night and day noticeable on how many commercial breaks there are compared to BPT to the Elites. Now, Nick Hatfield didn't use forward-facing sonar through the first 2 periods and absolutely crushed it. And I think we're missing the mark on this young man. Nick Hatfield is absolutely spectacular at fishing. In the top 10 going into day 2 are Brian Thrift, Edwin Evers, Keith Carson, Nick Hatfield, Jacob Wheeler, Marshall Hughes, Bobby Lane, Justin Lucas, Shin Fukai, and Dustin Cannell. And I should say there's still 5 minutes left, so that could change. I think Wheeler's pretty much nailed it or clinched Angler of the Year. So congratulations to him, unless something changes tomorrow. Now, Jake Lawrence is in 2nd place. He's in 12th place for the tournament and 2nd place in Angler of the Year. He is 27 points, give or take, away from Jacob Wheeler. So I think he'd have to finish 25 spots ahead of Wheeler to even be in the running. Still had a fantastic year. But day 2 for for the Bass Pro Tour is going to be very interesting, because I hope they're able to keep a cameraman with Skeet Reese. And I just think we're seeing some absolutely fantastic fishing, because Brian Thrift had over 121 pounds, and they had a 2-pound minimum this week. And Brian Thrift had 121 pounds going into 5 minutes before this tournament ends. But what happened on the Elites? Well, the Elites was another great fishing tournament. It really is. First things first, we have to say the halftime show with Mark Zona. Come on now, we need more of this. However, while I loved seeing Mark Zona, we had 4 commercial breaks in that hour. And I'd rather see the whole hour of Mark Zona talk. He can talk about what he pooped, for all I care. I'd rather see that than the commercials. And I think Bassmaster is missing the mark in that sense. I will say, at the same time, everyone can see me flip-flopping, because that's what everyone's telling me I do. I will say the one thing Bass is doing even better is that they are putting on the bottom third that angler's name a lot of times. And I really appreciate it. I only wish they would do that more, but also talk about what's going on throughout the field, instead of the anglers that either have a cameraman or that are in the top 10. I think they're missing some of the storylines that go on throughout the field that they should be talking more about, like Logan Latuso, disqualified last tournament. Here he is. They're weighing in right now. He was in the top 10 with Bass Track. That is outstanding, because he's outside of that realm of requalifying. He doesn't want to be relegated back down. And I think that's a storyline that they need to start talking more about. Same with Ben Milliken. Where is he going to finish? Because when I watched or looked for him, he wasn't in the top 50 when I looked. That's not good news for Ben. And the AOI race is really something that the Bassmaster Elite should focus in on, because the 3 anglers competing for this AOI, Jay Shakurat and one of the Johnston brothers and Trey McKinney, is an unbelievable story. And like I said with the Bass Pro Tour and Hatfield, I think we're really missing the mark on Trey McKinney. Trey McKinney, without question, the last 2 years has been one of the most dominant anglers out there. He is absolutely crushing the elites again this year. He usually has one bad tournament a year, but he did amazing at the Classic. He's done amazing this year. Again, possible AOI 2 years in a row. That doesn't happen. And I really appreciated that Bass did some extra drone footage. They did some B-roll footage that they implemented into the production, and it makes their quality look better. It makes the production quality of that whole tournament look that much better. And I know there's people that say, I'm not sure Bass is making any changes. They are. They are listening. They might not listen to this channel, but they are listening. And they're trying to become better at what they're doing. And you have to give them props for that. So I think the elites had a great tournament, or day 1. And we'll go over the top 10 here in a minute. But the other thing we need to do more with the Bassmaster Elites, not to harp on anything, is we need to show these anglers how to release fish better. The tossing them in the air and dropping them and belly flopping in isn't conservation minded. And I think they should release the fish at the level of the boat and be done with it. These throwing them off the side just doesn't look good as a group, as a whole, as a community. And the day 1 top 10 for the Bassmaster Elites were Trey McKinney, Matt Robertson, which you can watch his stream if you want tomorrow, and probably day 3 and day 4 at this rate on his YouTube channel. You have Will Davis Jr., Dakota Ebert, Easton Fothergill, Caleb Summerall, Toyota Fujita, Brian Schmidt, Paul Mueller, and Kyle Norsetter. Now, some of the notables that were some of the storylines, you had Logan Latuso that made the top 30, which is fantastic for him. Will help him boost himself up from that 88th place. Will give him some angler year points that is really important. And then you had Ben Milliken, who's in the top 80, which is not good for him. And then Jay Shakurat, who was Angler of the Year, or leading Angler of the Year points as of this morning before the tournament, is right now in the top 60. So I think that means Trey McKinney probably is leading Angler of the Year after day 1. But there's still more fishing that will happen and can happen. And we'll see how it goes. I will say, I think the elites did a really good job. I think this is a great tournament. I think it's great to see a whole slew of different ways to catch them, and I really appreciate all that the elites did in this tournament. But what did you think? Comment below and tell me what you think. I also want to know, which one did you watch again? Which one do you think had the better storylines or the better production? Comment in the comment section and tell me. Drop a comment and tell me. I want to know. And if you don't like what I say, you can put a comment in there too. There's no right or wrong, and I'm just trying to do my best on what I see as a fan. But I'd like to hear your comments. Thanks to all the new subscribers and members and everyone who's interactive on the channel. I really do appreciate it. You guys are insane. It's overwhelming, it's humbling, it's respectful, and I can't say thank you enough. I really appreciate the love and the support and everyone checking in on me. There's light at the end of the tunnel on what's going on with me, and it's just a long process and it hurts at times. But I really appreciate everyone checking in on me. But if you're not a subscriber, if you're one of those 65.4% of the people who watch the channel and do not subscribe, do me a favor, click that like button and the subscribe button. If you want to, you can become a member. You just get to see the videos a lot sooner than everyone else. But again, thank you. Remember, take a kid fishing, tight lines, cheers, and get your fish on.